Aisha Bushby, please. Aisha, how are you doing? Nice to have you on. How are you?
I was really enjoying like listening to like all the different speakers and everything. So I was just sitting there watching and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to be on as well.
I'm
Like,
on.
I was like, get ready.
I'm on. Well, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. Have you ever read
I'm
any
on
of the?
now.
Have you ever read any of the Little Bad Man books? Have you ever come
No,
across those?
I haven't, and I feel like I should because actually,
Yeah.
they're like, what age group are they? Are they like
Well, I
younger?
suppose they're. Well, I don't know. They're kind of. They've got drawings and stuff. I suppose they're probably like they're key stage 2, but basically they could be
Yeah,
depends on your reading ability, I suppose. But
because I was
you'll be
sort of
amazed.
like, but basically, because I was saying I want to write like in a slightly younger books, and so it's like really interesting. I need to read a lot more books because I would say mine are like slightly older. I've been
Yeah.
told like it could even be like for teenagers maybe.
I
So yeah.
think so. Let's find out about that because it is like that. Your latest book. Well, actually, tell you what. Tell us a little bit about because you've written a few books now.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't familiar with those books, they may have seen them on the show, maybe they haven't picked them up. Let's talk about yourself and the sort of animals sort of going sort of history, sort of adventure with the animals and stuff. Where are your books at? So tell us a little bit about yourself and the sort of the where your books kind of inspired what they come.
I never know I feel like my books are very random in that I can't seem to like stick to one thing. But I would say like they kind of match each other. So I say A Flash of Fireflies is a bit like my first book, A Pocket Full of Stars, which are like set in like the real world, but there's like one kind of magic that kind of happens, and it's a bit of like a portal fantasy that the character has to go through, and they're kind of to do with emotions and coming to terms with certain emotions. So A Pocket Full of Stars is about grief, and A Flash of Fireflies is about OCD, which, if you don't know, is obsessive compulsive disorder, but also kind of like anxiety for anybody that's kind of been through anxiety. So they're like kind of one type of book. And then I have a series that I wrote in between. There's 2 books in that called Moonchild, and they're more kind of like fantasy-based, adventure-y type stories. And there's like stuff to do with emotions in them because the characters have like kind of magical powers where they can kind of read people's emotions. But I would say they're more like adventure-y fantasy. So I don't really think I do one thing, even though I feel like my publishers would just be like, can you stick to something? Because each book I come up with, I feel like
you can't, it's life, isn't it? Variety, spice of life, and all that kind of stuff. And
I feel like it represents who I am, maybe. And I do love authors. Like for me, a lot of my favorite authors do write like really similarly. Like I really love Jacqueline Wilson, and you like know what a Jacqueline Wilson book is, but I don't think you'd ever know what like an Aisha Bushby book is.
Well, I think that's the
so
one.
yeah.
It's a fascinating. I obviously try and read all the authors I have on the show and poets or whatever. I try and obviously get familiar with their work. And I finished A Flash of Fireflies. So again, this will be weird on here because it's green and it's a green screen, so it's kind of Flash of Fireflies next week. So it's as you said, it's it may be an older read, but I think slightly, but it's just really really fascinating read, and I really had no idea where it was going. And it's also I really didn't, but it also weaves in so many themes of different fairy tales. And for any of you watching, fairy tales, obviously we get used to the sort of Disney version of them, but the actual ones they're based upon, like the Grimm fairy tales and the Hans Christian Andersen stuff, a lot of those are pretty challenging reads in themselves, aren't they? Some of those fairy tales, and you weave some of that so well into this book, and those little motifs and bits, but obviously that's what they're all built from, aren't they? Sort of things of life and emotions and different aspects of who we are, fairy tales in that sort of sense. What your inspiration for this story specifically was? What was that?
So actually, interestingly, I first came up with the idea when COVID happened. So I have OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, which means that like my brain can tell me that I need to wash my hands, for example, more than you need to wash your hands. And I'm worried about contaminating things. And for me, when I think about I'm contaminating something, I won't talk about it too much because I think it can be quite upsetting. But for people to kind of hear about, like I feel like it's like almost like a reverse superpower where I will like contaminate the world with like a disease. So when COVID happened and you were hearing lots of things about washing your hands and spreading the disease, I got like it really impacted me. And I don't know if anyone else has felt that way and they didn't have like a word for it, but I really struggled then to like leave my house even when we were allowed to because of it. And so this all started with that and being like, actually, this is something that has affected me since I was about the first time I realized I had OCD. I think I was about 9, which is why I felt like, okay, this should be a middle grade book because it was something I was aware of at 9. And whenever I've spoken to people about it, a lot of people say that their kids kind of, they notice it at that age group too. But a lot of the kids that go through it don't know what it is. But obviously, I think it is upsetting to talk about directly. So for me, what I wanted to do was put my character on kind of a fairy tale adventure. So it wasn't about like it directly, but that kind of shows you basically how it feels. Because that's the thing about OCD. It's all about how you feel, and it's not very logical. And so people will be like, but logically, you're not going to contaminate someone, but that's not how. So it's all about how.
That's what's wonderful. Sorry to interrupt, but that's what's wonderful about the book is that you kind of it's like it's the best of books, isn't it? In that sense, in that you're kind of there's the world, and it's either like when you get like something where I don't know, say like just as a one everyone knows Harry Potter, where you've got the world, but there's a separate world by the world.
It happens.
You've got the world and this separate world. You're not sure if it's actually in her head or it is actually happening or a bit of both, and you're not really sure where that's going. And that's what I found really wonderful about it. I'm going to, throughout the book, there are various groups of animals mentioned. So what is a group of this called? What is a group of that called? And the character Hazel is very interested in this, isn't she? What the names of collective groups of animals are called. So I'm going to ask Aisha the collective group of certain animals. I know. Don't answer straight away. Okay, and then you can talk in your classroom just for a few seconds, and then I'll give the answer, and we'll see. Actually, no, Aisha give the answer, and then I will give the answer, which I'm sure will be exactly the same as what she says, because you wrote a lot of them in the book. So we shall see. Okay, here we go. So first one to talk about this if you're watching in your classrooms, this hopefully is an easier one to start with. Okay, here we go. So so don't answer straight away, Aisha. Okay. What is a group of ants called? What is a group of ants called? Do you know what a group of ants is? A group of ants. Oh, sorry, I've gone all over there. So there we go. Trying to get us over there. Here we go. Oh, there. No, there we are. There we go. What's a group of ants? What's a group of ants?
Okay, I'm waiting a bit.
So I'll hand it over. Have a chat in your classroom. I'll hand it over. Do you know what a group of ants is? What is it?
A colony.
A colony of ants. Well done. One point for you. One point for you. Fantastic stuff. No prizes. You can win a copy of your own book. There we go.
Yay.
Okay, next one. Okay, there's 5 of these. And this is quite a hard one, this one. I didn't know this one's fascinating. Okay. Again, we just have a little pause. What is a group of frogs called? A group of frogs called. It's a really fascinating one. I didn't know. A group of frogs. Any idea? Okay, let's hand it over to Aisha.
Was it an army?
An army. An army of frogs. I know. If you look very closely at some frogs, they do have little machine guns.
Yeah, and I think it was like what they look like. Yeah.
Yeah, the green thing. So, army of frogs. Okay, here we go. This one should be again, hopefully a slightly easy one. What is a group of bees called? A group of bees called. Do you know? Again, this one's a bit more well known. Let's hand it over to the lady who does. What's it called?
A swarm.
A swarm of bees. Well, you're doing 3 points. Fantastic. This is great. Okay, this next one's not very nice. I didn't know this one either, although I think I sort of heard it. What is a group of crows called?
Oh, yeah.
This is
one of my favorites.
Group of crows called. Any idea? Have a think about it. Okay, here we go. This is in the book. I remember this one really well because I didn't know this. Okay. What's a group of crows called? Here we go.
A murder.
A murder.
Yeah.
A murder of crows. Who came up with that? That's awful, isn't it? But a group of crows is called that one. And the last one, probably the most wonderful one of all, which I didn't know, and it is absolutely wonderful. You probably know which one I'm going for. What is a group of ladybirds called? A group of ladybirds. Does anybody know? Have a quick chat in your classroom. A group of ladybirds. Wonderful. Let's hand it over. For the last question, what's a group of ladybirds?
A loveliness.
A loveliness.
Yeah.
I got it wrong. A loveliness of ladybirds. So they are fascinating, but also look at that. 5 out of 5. Big round of applause.
I was worried I'd forget them.
Really good. So listen, Flash of Fireflies is out now. If you're interested in that kind of thing, recommend this highly as your summer read. Brilliant book. Really eerie. Don't know where it's going. It's a brilliant book. So enjoy that. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Aisha. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Have a wonderful summer, and I hope to see you again. Hands together. Aisha Bushby, please. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.